Welcome to Storytime with Double O Kills. Today we're going to be reading Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? By Dr. Seuss. Now, let's get into this. Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? By Dr. Seuss. Random House, New York. Trademark and copyright 1973 by Dr. Seuss Enterprises LP, all rights reserved under international and Pan-American copyright conventions, published in the United States by Random House Incorporated, New York, and simultaneously in Canada by Random House Canada Limited, Toronto. Library of Congress, catalog and publication data. Seuss, did I ever tell you how lucky you are? Summary compared to blah, 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 and there we go. And on the cover, this book with love is for Phyllis the Jackson. So, for Phyllis the Jackson, right there, so everybody knows. When I was quite amazing and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgot it yet. You can see. Does not look comfortable. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much, oh ever so much, oh muchly, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in Gazette and got caught in that traffic on Zate Highway 8. I bet there are some of you out there who might actually be on Zate Highway 8. Or suppose, for instance, you lived in Gazaire with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Yikes. Just suppose you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdimbulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the gick or the goor fits in the scrux or the snux or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdimbulator apart. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Ali Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick-growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in the hay is the piffluous pay of 2 duklas a day. And Ali can't live on such piffluous pay. Well, who is this? Ah, yes, this is still him. He has to paint flagpoles on Sundays in Grooves. How lucky you are, you don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6. Poor Mr. Bix has his morphin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it doesn't seem right, but his morphin just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back, and it schlumps once again. So don't you feel blue, don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin that schlumps. And while we are at it, consider the schlotz, the crumple-horn, web-footed, green-bearded schlotz, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. Look at those knots. That poor schlotz. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter, he has to cross T's, and he has to dot I's, and in an I and T factory out in Van Nuys. My daughter looked at it and said, Dad, those look like ones. I was like, well, sure, they don't have their dots on them, hon. Oh, the jobs people work at. Out west near Hotch Hotch, there's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Well, not much. So when then somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, and now, I don't know about you, but sure looks to me like he's watching that bee pretty hard, you see. Voila. The bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the Hotchers who live in Hotch Hotch are watching on watching the watcher who's watching that bee. You're not a Hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see? And how fortunate you're not, Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. Pretty sure my daughter writes Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Puboken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. That is not a job for me. Oh, just suppose you're watching poor Harry Haddo. You were poor Harry Haddo. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. Look at this. He's got no shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. So there you go, guys. You know now that gizzes are the ones that are the things that cast shadows. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky. Some people are muchly, oh, ever so muchly, more unlucky than you. I mean, at least none of them are going bald, right? I mean, they just keep the hair one to the next, to the next, to the next. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants, but your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? Sorry. Brief moment of Twitch nudity. My apologies. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Falkenberg, 17th radish. I would assume that radish is the one that's about to be eaten, if you can see, there's a worm after that radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Plus, you know, they're the ones that always get lost in the dryer as well. It's the left socks. They're the problem. Thank goodness for all of the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much, so muchly, much more unlucky than you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are by Dr. Seuss. And if ever there was a clear and obvious situation here where a book gave us a story that was timely, it's clear. Sorry, I like to rhyme sometimes. After I read these, it just kind of infects me. Right now, there's a lot of hard things that are going on in life. And there's a lot of people that are closed off and shut out and away and held out and stopping themselves from getting into too much. And it could be worse. There's lots of great things to be thankful for right where you are. Whatever the situation, whatever the encounter, no matter how bad your life feels or what struggles you have, know this. One, I love you. I do. You might say, hey, you don't know me. How can you love me? And I say, I don't need to know you to love you, because I choose to love you, and so I do. No matter who you are, no matter what you feel, think, believe, or have done, it doesn't matter. I love you. And two, you've got so much to be thankful for. It might not always feel like it. You might get sucked into the situations where you're dealing with so much stuff going on that you just are so frustrated. But know that it's not the end of the world. And it's okay. It'll be okay. And there's a lot of things you can be thankful for. So take a little time and I mean this. It sounds dumb. Sounds like that old Saturday Night Live skit. And gosh darn it, people like you. But it's true. Tell yourself some good things out loud so that you can hear it. Tell yourself some good things. If you can't even think of anything but one thing, you know that one thing is I love you. I'll be your friend. I am your friend. Can't be with you all the time, but that doesn't mean I'm not your friend. And you can at least say Double O Kills is my friend. There you go. You got at least one thing. And I'm sure there's lots more. So always know that you've got something to be thankful for. And I'm telling you, it'll be okay. Just give it a day. Maybe 2. Maybe 100. But you know, the thing is with time, it passes. It drags on and on. It drags on when you're in the middle of it. But you look back and you forget so much of that drag. And you say, wow, that didn't take that long. Man, now I'm out. I'm done. I'm good. So just know, if you're going through it, keep on going. Well, this has been Storytime with Double O Kills. And I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope you like it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Turn on those notifications. We post these fairly regularly, and other videos, gaming related and otherwise. So, enjoy, and have a wonderful day.